We are simply observing this thing that we are calling life, past events or past traumas that we want to hold on to. We act as if we are experiencing these these things. It feels like we're experiencing these events. We're more so observing what's going on to us right now. Right now, I'm observing me um, recording this YouTube video. And that's what I'm doing. So when I think back on a, a lot of, I don't want to say traumas because I don't look at it as traumas anymore, but a lot of events or things that didn't make me feel good or happy inside, or things that hurt me or people that hurt me, I looked at it as something that I was experiencing, and I adopted beliefs around um, certain events that happened in my life. And our biggest fears, our biggest lessons were just observations. We were observing whatever was happening in front of us. Like I said, I'm observing myself recording this YouTube video, right? And I want to say a little bit um, more stuff about this. You know how, when you were in school and you wrote a story or a paragraph, and it was just like Johnny, it was like this: Johnny hit his head on the floor. Okay. His mom came and cleaned it. He then ate dinner. And he took a shower and went to bed, right? When your teacher or your English teacher sees that paragraph, they will say that paragraph lacks context or it lacks depth. It's just explaining what he did, right? It's not explaining all of the emotions and everything else that may be needed um, to explain a story or to help the reader be in the person's shoes or be in the character's shoes, right? So when we add context, we are basically saying, oh, Johnny fell and hit his head. Now you can choose what goes in between those blanks. Okay. One one context can be okay, Johnny fell down and hit his head and he got back up and continued. Oh, no, Johnny fell down and hit his head. His mother came and cleaned the wound, and he got back up and continued riding his bike because he knew that he's a brave young kid. Or it could be Johnny fell down and hit his head and became hysterical. His mother started cleaning his wound, and Johnny vowed to never ride a bike again, right? So there's always context that we add to our own stories, to our own observations. I can observe myself right now and I can add a context that, oh, this video looks good, or this video doesn't look good, or um, I look good this way, or I don't look good this way. You are adding the context. You are adding the context. you are also observing. So what you're observing doesn't always need context, but we as humans add context because we love to have, the juicy feelings and emotions and everything that comes with life. That's why we're here. We're here to observe, and then we add our own context. And I'm just saying this because a lot of us have developed fearful behavior or fearful um, actions because of something we observed or something that we observed being told to us, and we labeled it. We labeled it. And sometimes things that happen to us in the past or events that happen to us in the past are just unfortunate observations or just an observation that I wouldn't want to happen again. Okay. Like, okay, yeah, I observed this. Thank you, God, for helping me. Or, sometimes we come to earth to experience. So apparently I wanted to experience whatever I experienced. So I just tell God, thank you for the observation. I don't think I want to observe that again. Right? Like we want to look at things in a different way, not the same way we have always been looking at it. Because I can look at certain situations and just be like, well, why did this happen to me? And why did this happen? And why did these things happen? You only feel like a victim if you feel like you are, what's the word? You feel like you are literally experiencing it. You are experiencing it, but you're observing it. It's a difference between experiencing and observing. And two things can happen at the same time. So observing is like a coach. And I teach you in my on my channel to not be a victim, but to be a coach of your life. And when you're a coach, you can observe the team and say, we're not going to do this again. The coach is a part of the team, but he is not physically playing, but he's observing it and he can feel all the emotions also. He knows, or she knows, I don't want these things to happen on my team again, and they make the plans so it won't happen. So I don't want to get too much on fear and stuff, but observing, different situations, like if you observe a car wreck, you can add context and develop a belief or a fear around cars. Um, you can have that context, but if you look at a car wreck and say, wow, that was a not so good experience that I experienced, or that wasn't a not so good observation, I really didn't like that observation. It's way different than adding so much context and just saying, oh my God, I'm never going to ride in a car again, or I'm never going to do these things again. Like, thank God for a safe observation. Like, thank you, God, for guiding me on my observations. Like, we have to look at this in a different way, that all this is not happening to us, it's happening for us, through us. And if we can see that, if we can truly understand that, we'll be able to really let go of a lot of the fears and wait. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people act out of fear. So this world is reacting off of fear right now. We're all fearful of something. And we operate out of fear in a lot of ways, and that is something I'm trying to deconstruct, because I grew up and it's been embedded, just fear. Everything is just so fearful. It don't even have to be like, oh, you're going to get hurt from this. Just just a fear of being emotionally hurt, physically hurt, mentally hurt. You're not really getting hurt. You're observing it. You're observing a situation and you added context that, hey, this is hurtful to me. Okay. But if you can observe something, say, well, I observed something that was very hurtful and I don't want to observe this again. Wow. And move on and don't add any more stuff that doesn't need to be added to it, because it can start trickling down in other relationships or other people that you're speaking with. So just try that. Just try to look back on some big life events that may have affected you, and just try to come from a open, observant standpoint, to say that, hey, I observed a lot of negativity during this time, or hey, I observed these things happening during my childhood or yesterday or whatever with my spouse. I observed these things, right? I don't want to observe these anymore. So then you come to a point where, how do I not observe this anymore? How do I not observe this anymore? And that's for another video. But just go back on the observations, or the experiences that you had that you didn't like, and call those observations instead of experiences, because experiences are just like, it's supposed to involve mind, body, soul, emotion, and everything. Just, oh, you experience it. But if you can observe it, you don't experience until you add context. So if you were just observing, you're not experiencing it. But if you add a context like, wow, this is very scary, or wow, this is very this, or wow, this is very that, that's your context you added, okay? So try to be an observer, which you already are. But it's so easy to slip in between the veil, to be an observer and also someone who experiences. It's great to experience. It is. But you have to realize that your past experiences may not happen again, okay? You observed something for a reason. You observed things in your life for a reason. You were chosen to observe this. Now you hope that you don't observe it again if you don't want to observe it again. If you want to observe different things in your life that were good, you pray that you will observe these things that you like to observe again. Because in this world, some things happen and it's not happening to you. So just do your best to separate yourself from the context. You add your own context and make sure it's the best context for you to move forward in your life.